Good evening. Welcome to the Selectmen's meeting, November 30th, 2017. We'll start right off, in fact, continue as the conversation was going on. Karen, would you like to start, please?
Well, basically, we're here to determine whether the town will have a single rate, tax rate, or will choose to select certain exemptions or do the tax rate by assessing commercially valued properties as at a higher rate. So the bottom line is that the Board of Assessors is recommending a single tax rate as we have historically done, with no exemptions or no discounts.
Excellent.
In Dover, we have less than 3% commercial value, commercial properties, so it really doesn't make sense to do anything else.
Wonderful. Do I have any questions from the board members? It's been that way for a long time, has it not?
Since as long as we've had classification hearings.
Excellent. So there wouldn't be any reason to change that at all.
We hope not.
Good. Good.
So tonight, we're just setting the methodology.
We're just going to say whether we have one rate or not one rate, or except have any exemptions or discounts.
Okay.
Any questions?
No questions, Candace. I would move that we accept Mrs. McTavish's motion to adopt the single rate. Is that, Karen, with
Yes, a factor of
classification?
one.
Factor of one.
With no discounts or exemptions.
Yeah, I would move that we accept that proposal.
Excellent. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good. Thank
So
you.
I've given you the papers, and if you get a chance, you can sign them.
Will the physical signatures work? Because most of this stuff,
We have to have physical signatures for the LA5. There's no particular place for them, so just on that form, but I have to actually scan and email that, and the recap. That's new this year. I think they've always had to have physical signatures on that.
okay.
But it might make sense to designate one person in case I can't use that form and I have to do another one.
The chairman?
Sure.
Okay.
That's
So
Sure,
if
that'd
it would
be
be
fine.
appropriate, Madam Chair, if you could all just sign in the blank space here
Excellent.
and make a motion to authorize the chairman to execute any further documentation that may
Fine.
be
And you
required.
know, easy to reach. That'd be great.
So do you want me to make that motion?
Please.
I make a motion to have the chairman execute any additional documentation that's required to file with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you very
Robin.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
And welcome
Nice
to
to meet you,
you,
Doug.
Mr. Munsell. Right, it's great to
Thank you.
see you as
Very
well.
nice to meet you. Thank you,
want us to
Karen.
just
Thank you
sign?
very
Sign in the
much.
blank spot, yep.
Do you know, across the field, the Munsells live, so Mr. Jeffries is riding and taking beautiful coyote photographs of our field frequently.
Well, I was standing out in the middle of it with my boxer when 5 of them walked by me within 50 feet in a line.
Coyotes?
Yes, bigger than this.
Oh.
Yeah, they're well fed.
The
Wow.
pictures that I took, I said to Candace, I said, these are beautiful animals from 100 yards away. I wouldn't want to be much
When
closer.
the first came out, I thought, oh, a German Shepherd, I've never seen one around here. And then the second came out, then the third, then the fourth, then the fifth, and I said, I think we'll stand right here for a
Uh-huh,
minute.
right,
How
right.
was that? They
Wow.
walked right by us, didn't look, of course, they were looking peripherally, go across to the other side of the field. The last one didn't go into the woods, he sat down and watched us.
Wow. Well, you know, Mr. Jeffries took the most amazing photographs, sent it to me in a text, and said to me, expand the fog. And when you expanded the fog, there is the most beautiful doe standing in the fog. 6:15 in the morning.
Beautiful.
Oh, you're a photographer.
Right.
I am not. Just- No.
Stuck out there on
This
the
is-
camera.
A set of signatures for
Yes,
you.
that's super.
Thank you
Coming back
so
after the
much.
morning
Yeah.
ride. Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, right.
Have a good night.
Thanks very much.
Great, Doug, to see you.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too. Wonderful. It's a lovely way to start.
Thank
Excellent.
you. Yes.
Mrs. Pugach, may I ask you to talk about opening and closing dates for the town warrant, please?
Sure. Every year, at the second meeting in November, the board opens the warrant for the annual town meeting, which this year will be May 7th, 2018. And it gives people an opportunity to submit warrant articles to various departments and town officials. If there are any citizens petitions, we ask them to come in and please see us so that we can assist you with those petitions. And the closing date will be January 26th, 2018.
Excellent.
So we'll be accepting articles throughout the holiday season.
And I just wanted to point out, the language is so critically important in those citizens petitions.
That's correct.
And you've always helped people in the past. and I
Typically,
thank
we
you.
fashion the language for them, and then they approve it, and we explain, you know, why we do things a certain way. We don't want them to write an article where something is outside the scope of that article, which then cannot be addressed at town meeting.
Right, right. Thank you very much. Any questions?
So it opens today, November 30th, and closes January 26th. Okay.
Yes.
I move that we set the opening and closing dates as said, November 30th, meaning today, for the opening, and closing January 26th, 2018. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, that's great.
Thanks.
And we did, 3 weeks ago when we met, we were given the Selectmen's operating budgets that we've had an opportunity to review. And at that particular time, Mrs. Pugac, you gave us the highlights, and I would like for the viewing audience, if you wouldn't mind, to touch on those again, and then we will move to any questions that the board may have, and
So I have some questions, and I'm not sure if it may be more efficient. I could tell you my questions or send you my questions. Some of them you may have answers to.
Well, I know that normally you and I have met in the past
Okay.
and sat down together.
So we
I
could do
know
that.
unfortunately this
Right.
year you weren't able to come in the day that you typically
Right.
do. So, yes, I mean, if you have questions on
All right.
particular ones, maybe you'd like to just let me know what the numbers are for those budgets, so that way we don't
Okay, that sounds good.
do a highlight on it or vote on it.
And what would your recommendation be? That we go ahead and vote on any budgets for which there are not questions? Or would you suggest that we wait till the next meeting to approve the budgets as a whole? Because I'm happy to do
How many
either.
questions are there?
So I have questions. One. This you could probably answer right now.
Try me. Do I have to give you the right answer?
No.
Okay.
No.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have a number of questions.
We can table till next meeting. We have one more meeting, I believe, until the deadline.
We do. I believe it's
I mean, some of my
December
questions are
14th.
probably really silly, but.
Okay. That's fine.
I'm trying to think of how to expedite, just to keep it
But
simple.
I do not have questions on some of the budgets.
Right.
Okay.
Well, maybe, and how about for you? Are you?
Well, Mrs. Hunter and I were just discussing that we, though we employed a very different methodology, we kind of got to the same place
Same place.
on almost everything that she had, which is scary, by the way, Madam Chair, that we came to the same conclusions on many of these. So I think what would be helpful in terms of expediting, if you got the list that Mrs. Hunter put together, answered in whatever way was most effective for you, I think that would satisfy 90% of the things that because I made tabs and sticky notes and
Well,
Utilize these in different ways.
Yes, if you send them, then,
Well, I'm gonna come in tomorrow, so I think
Yeah.
a bunch of my questions you can probably.
Answer right off the
Yeah.
top
Right
of her
off the
head,
top of
right.
your head.
I just think that you could just expedite things, and from an efficiency standpoint, if you had that conversation, then in the scope of our next next meeting.
Okay,
We could do that prior,
okay,
and then
that sounds fine.
cover everything, so I'm sure that 90% of what we have, we
Great.
covered that.
Okay, perfect. Then I would suggest that we table this for the next meeting. And in the interim, if it's all right, Mrs. Pugach, we'll have these questions to you and have a chance to get them answered and be able to come in. And we'll pick up where we left off tonight, addressing the highlights and then voting on the budgets.
So can I ask Kate a question?
Definitely, yeah.
Do I have to answer?
No, because you may not, so I know the warrant committee provides guidance on oil and, right, on the oil budgets. So I was just wondering what the basis of the guidance
Of
was.
our discussion.
Yeah,
Well, I met with Mr. Ramsey,
okay.
and we based that on what we saw as current trends.
The crystal ball.
And crystal ball, yeah.
More accurately, the lack of a crystal ball.
Okay.
And just reviewed how we had made these decisions in past years
Okay.
based on that model. And then we also look at past years, what we had is the budgeted number and then the actuals.
So
So
you
we
looked
look
at
at-
exactly what I looked at.
So we
Okay.
basically look at budget and compare to actuals, budget compared to actuals, which is what we do with all budgets.
Right.
So when we look at each year, if somebody's suggesting an increase in the budget, we do compare that to the actual of what they spent. So if you're asking for an increase, but you didn't actually spend your whole budget
Right.
the year before, we'd like to know why you would want an increase when we didn't spend. So that's how we came to that number. And
Okay. So
We'd
do
be
we
happy to
have
know that
contracts?
Mrs. Hunter and I came to the exact same,
using that.
using that, no,
Okay.
well, she cheated, because she had the numbers from the 3 previous years. I went back to the blue books and said, what's the difference? Why is there so
I did
that
a bunch of data entry. So do we have contract?
For heating oil, we have contracts, but they're on a cost-plus basis. It's
Okay.
pennies over posted
Journal of
price.
Commerce for the Northeast daily, the day the oil is
Okay.
delivered, the low, not the median or high, plus 0.075 cents per gallon. And
Impressive that you remembered all that.
Scary,
Oh,
frankly.
no,
Wow.
and we tend to get oil usage and look back in prior years.
Okay.
Some of the numbers used to be based on add 2% or, whatever the
Right.
guidelines were, and some of the bigger oil line items for larger buildings started to skew upward,
Okay.
and therefore we started to make cuts even if it said that. And this year, I made cuts in 2 of the buildings that I prepared, because those were 2 that had the townhouse and the community center had really skewed upward because they have much more, they get,
Usage?
yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I knew, because that was one of the budgets that was like this,
Yes.
but I knew it was based upon guidance, so I was just curious. All right.
Yeah, and
So there you got rid of 3 questions.
And one,
Wow.
okay, good. And one year, in fact, the chair of the warrant committee asked Dave Ramsey to sit down with the people who are in charge of the different
Buildings.
buildings
And ask them what they
look
did
at-
for.
And look at their usages and try to readjust them
Oh,
and come up with numbers that were more, and hopefully would be more realistic because of the skewing
Wow.
that had gone on. So he went through these mathematical formulas and we adjusted some of the budgets.
wow. Did they ask you to adjust the temperature in the buildings as well, to see if you could find an average there? That'd be, holy mackerel. So, they're,
I got rid of 3 questions.
oh,
Okay.
congratulations. Do you get an average? Do you take, in the blue book, you're constrained by space, where you put last year, this year, and the
Variance.
differential, right? Has there ever been proposed the average of the past 3 years? Is there ever been anything where you could look back, because literally what I did, because she cheated again, is I went back to the last 3 blue books to say,
Data entry.
she cheated.
Well, we do, so what we have as a warrant committee is we get printed out what's called the KDS report,
Which is this, right?
which is, it's a big report, and
Yeah.
it has multiple years on it, it goes back. And then I have several of those reports at home.
Right.
This is my 4th year. And we do it ourselves as we look at individual budgets.
Do you make the average?
We don't do a calculation,
Yeah.
but we watch trends.
I
Right.
mean, you look
And
at
different
numbers.
departments. I mean,
Yeah.
we're looking at percentages of changes in budgets. A lot of stuff stays static.
Yeah.
And, we ask for a level of service, and that's part of our guidance, where we ask to provide the same level of service within the departments, and the justification if services are increasing, if there's a need. So some things stay standard year after year after year, and then changes we do look at and ask, each department comes in to review their budget with the warrant committee, and we ask them about increases. Why did you base this increase? What is it? And, things like postage. Postage rates went up, or we're doing more meals. I mean, things like that, there's a justification. So usually the increases are backed up with data.
For example, in the townhouse, the proposed cut this year is $3,600 on the fuel oil line item, the heating oil line item in the townhouse budget, because the number had been significantly lower, but when I went back, because we have them run the reports from Holliston Oil, we used $33,000 in FY14. So it really depends on how cold the winter is, and that can vary dramatically. And oil prices were up at that time.
Right.
So that's why I said, okay, we'll bring it down to 30, and hopefully it won't be as cold as it was in FY14. But we've had milder.
Well, and it is an
Better
inexact science.
It is very
It's just
inexact.
tough.
And, electricity, who knows? Eversource was having rate review hearings, and they were projecting that there would be, based on those hearings, January 1st of 2018, a 9% increase per customer for but that's just like, again, that's them guessing. What the outcome of the hearings is, I don't
Right.
know. They've made any decisions. So you just kind of look at those
Right.
trends.
No, that's really helpful. Because just going back, I just couldn't remember if we bought, if we locked into fuel contracts or.
We do 3-year contracts for heating oil. The diesel is through a consortium. Mr. Hughes, looks at that. And electricity is electricity.
Right.
Telephone, we're switching systems to one that will be probably about the same cost, but it'll be advantageous because of the functionality.
Moving away from first class?
Yes,
Yes.
that's the email, yeah.
And that was the spike in the data processing budget.
Yes, because we've had so many complaints about first class.
Right.
We asked our IT guy to ask his association, and a lot of towns that used it have all migrated to Google. And Google is the, best known, and people can, they can figure it out, and they can ping their regular email. So if they get a town email message, it'll ping their regular one.
That's wonderful.
So,
I started to mention that last evening, and be sure and verify that. Right.
So Greer, since you're on the subject here, so there were two line items when I went to look in the report, like that were bigger, which I assume, so one was in the website line, and then one was in the consulting line. So are those both? If you don't know off the top of your head, you can do it tomorrow.
I can tell you those right now. What we decided is, as far as the IT budget, there were significant increases in that, and Of course, cybersecurity
Right.
has become a priority on an international level. So we decided that it was high time that we actually had someone come in and test our system and, see if they could hack it and give us advice if they could or hack it or not, and where we might want to tighten things up or change things. That was a one-time cost, and that was,
And that happened already.
that's
right?
It has not.
$5,380.
It's in the budget for
No,
fiscal
it's in the
19.
budget for next year.
Okay.
No, what Bill was doing before was he was using a software called Know Before and saying he had.
Let's not get into too much detail.
Oh, okay.
It is
And-
security
yeah,
after all.
It's security growth, and there's also a one-time cost for purchasing software for the cemetery department,
Okay.
and we do have $5,000 in the line item in professional services, so that if something comes up unexpectedly, we've got that money. For example, this past year, we replaced 2 firewalls, the townhouse and the highway department. So there's always something like that that, as systems are updated or need to be changed out.
But most of it is the new email system. And
Oh,
and
absolutely,
some-
that's like an $11,400
Yeah, okay, all right.
increase.
And both, I mean,
Yeah.
both needed.
Sorely, because we have very low compliance with using the town-assigned emails, and they are considered public records, so we really think that people will start using this now, and it'll be a lot easier to use.
So that's what we're used to. right?
Yeah,
It's
right.
nice.
So we think it's a very good move.
Yeah,
And they
I
all
agree
use
as a
Google
user.
every town, so, yeah.
All right, okay, thanks.
Mhm.
Mr. Jeffries, anything you'd like, or would you
No,
like to
I
just
think
give it
let's,
time? Okay.
yeah, I just think, Madam Chair, is going to be, from an efficiency standpoint,
Right.
we'll answer half of these.
I think that's
More
great.
than half of these.
Already, I've crossed a whole bunch of my lists.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
And I think that's great. And it has been a holiday week, so this will be helpful.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mrs.
Yeah.
Kugat. We have an appointment for the Board of Appeals. A note from Alan Fryer to you, Mr. Ramsey, saying Ham Hackney has agreed to serve as an associate member of the Board of Appeals. I would appreciate if you would have the selectmen appoint him at their next meeting. So, welcome, Mr. Hackney, and I would like to take a motion to approve Ham Hackney for the associate member's position at the Board of Appeals.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Again, welcome, Mr. Hackney. Thank you very much. We have in our packets, and I'll share this with the at-home audience, a very attractive flyer. Isn't that nice? Very welcoming. This is for the energy assistance, and this will be a mailing that will go into the December tax bill.
That's correct, if approved by the board.
If approved by all of us. And I want to do a very special shout-out, thank you to Erica Lurt and her daughter, who have put this flyer together and who are spearheading this program to get the message out to any needy people in Dover who would benefit from having some financial assistance around energy. So again, thank you very much for your efforts to get that out. And do we have any questions?
No, it's
Very
great,
attractive.
great, you're very well
It is.
done.
It's eye-catching. It's very
Yes.
warm. It's a cabin in the snow, smoke coming up from the fireplace, and we do want our townspeople to be warm. So I would move that we approve this flyer to go into the tax bills, to be sure that everyone is receiving this and aware of the assistance that's available. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
thank you.
Good, thank you. And again, to Eric Alert, thank you very much for what you're doing. In other business, we have a prior notice for an additional estimated $6,000 because the present balance in the account for building maintenance is $928.12. And this is an amount to take care of replacing the oil tanks at 46 Springdale. You both may be aware that Mr. Warnick found just a pinhole of an oil leak in one of the oil tanks at 46 Springdale, and with a closing coming up in the next few weeks, the decision was made to replace both with new tanks, and so the amount sort of is estimated to be around $6,000 to $7,000. So we are asking for an additional $6,000 of prior notice for this fund to replace those tanks.
Above ground tanks that are in the basement?
Yes,
In the basement.
In the basement.
Yeah.
And really, such a credit to our building supervisor superintendent, who was able to spot them and to intervene quickly before there was any cleanup needed and to get these
Mediation,
tanks.
yeah, cleanup
He's
and
he's very
remediation.
vigilant.
Oh,
Yeah.
obviously, and so excellent. So these are being replaced, or have
Madam Chair, I
been
would
replaced,
move that
probably.
we approve the $6,000 estimate for 46 Springdale.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. And Mr. Jeffries, I'm really sorry, it's such a short list of licenses
But there's an
tonight.
astronomy night, Madam Chair.
Oh, that looks really.
Astronomy night. That looks great. There's a
Right.
beautiful, almost full moon tonight.
And it's Saturday night, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, so December 2nd at Powesett Farm, Astronomy Night. February 6th at the Noanette Garden Club, Art, Wine, Cheese Night. Are we invited to that, Mrs. Hunter?
I told you I have yet to be invited.
It's at the Dover Library, so
Maybe I could crash.
I'm still impressed with our last meeting, the June 6th
Right.
bridal shower.
Right. 6 month in advance planning.
6 month in advance planning,
Right,
well
right,
done,
right.
right? And that's it for this evening, just the two
It's great.
special licenses. We would move that we accept the two special licenses dated for December 2nd, February 6th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent.
I don't know, this astronomy night sounds kind of nice. I wonder if it must be outside.
It's gotta be outside,
Gotta be,
right?
yeah.
Right.
That's a great, and I would assume it's gonna be a full moon.
Is it?
Does it make sense,
Certainly
right?
it-
The most visual, nice.
Should be bright.
Should be right,
No
right,
question.
exactly.
I have to say, I was
Sounds
at
great.
a function at Powesett Farm a couple of weeks ago. I was so blown away by their kitchen.
Yeah, isn't
and
it
the
unbelievable?
Food that is being turned out of that kitchen, it's
It's
some of the best I
phenomenal,
have
right.
ever tasted. Oh, my golly. Squash and leek soup and homemade breads and homemade
have-
cheeses and,
They have cooking classes.
oh, they have done such a beautiful job, beautiful job.
Well done.
We're in the part about the minutes for our meetings. We have 2 sets to approve, October 26th and November 9th. Did anyone have any changes?
No. No. Move that we accept the minutes of October 26th, Madam Chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the minutes of November 9th.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Thank you again. Angela, thank you.
Mona, very well done.
Beautiful.
As always, thank you.
Do we have any citizens' comments?
Just a quick question, going back to partners, because I'm going to probably tell some friends about this. So, I'm getting the warning ready. The partners for the repair of the oil tanks.
Replacement.
Replacement, I'm sorry. That's under the guidelines of the purchase and sale agreement that we would be making any repairs prior to closing? Just-
We have to preserve it as it was when they walked through.
It was, at the time
Okay.
they signed the PNS,
Right,
that as is,
that as it is.
that condition.
Okay,
So the tank was not leaking at that time.
okay, all right. I just wanted to, because I'm going to be asked that
They were
question.
so aged
Okay.
and, yeah.
Timing is everything.
It is.
And Kate, just to be clear, that applied to the leaking tank,
Okay,
but we didn't want to take chances on the other tank. They're the same vintage, under the same atmospheric conditions.
so, yeah, so we have to, at closing, the house needs to be in the condition that it was at the time of the inspection.
Correct.
Right.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Do we have a closing date?
Do we have a closing date?
We do, December 18th.
Very nice.
That's coming up.
It
Yes.
is, right.
It was supposed to be November 21st, but it turned out they were out of the country
Mhm.
and they needed to be present. So that's a date that worked for them.
Wonderful.
That's great.
It's very close. It's coming along quickly, right? Yes. Any other questions, Mrs. Canny?
That's it.
Okay. Maureen, anything? No? Well, then I believe we're at a point, I would take a motion to adjourn. Make a motion to adjourn.
Seconded?
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, and thank you all for joining us tonight.
Thank you.